Renaissance for the Soul. It's old and young, and another episode. We got
special guest Trav. Oh, I'm Normanique. Hi.
you a special guest today?
I guess so.
Absolutely.
I got me in the middle.
Oh, okay. Well, how's the day going for y'all?
It's pretty good. I can't complain. It's been pretty calm, other than, the little drizzles here and there, but it's not too much. How's your day going?
Oh, it's straight. Like I said, we've been doing these episodes, so I actually look forward to us coming together and putting this together. So even if today was, off, just make it on. So I'm straight.
That's good. How you doing, Travis?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. My clearing out a little bit. Trying to eat a little bit better. Do these fruit fasts. And keep my spirit intact.
Okay.
With that, with the since you the man of the hour and all the questions is pointed at you, with the fruit fast, how long have you been doing it?
So I just started back doing like 3-day fruit fast. So this would be my second week. Last week I did it, and I want to keep going really. I'm gonna try to do it until spring next year. Cause with even how I'm feeling, like, I drive Lyft as well. So like when I have people in the car with me, I'm seeing a lot of them coughing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm picking up, I'm like, okay, like people really might be sick this, winter, fall, So I'm trying to make sure I'm prepping ahead of time. And I think fasting like that gives me a great opportunity to not only be healthy, but to heal. A lot of times when we eating so much, you don't give your body a chance to actually regenerate itself. It's literally like you can suffocate your cells doing that. So giving your body, whether it's just a water, tea, or you're not eating anything at all, you give it that rest, you give it time to rejuvenate and balance out.
Do you find yourself lack of energy from that or more energy from doing that?
I think for me, it's always both. Like, especially when you first start, it can be like a lack of energy because you got to think about it. It's like it's almost like a yin and yang, like you're moving the waters again. So it's always going to be like a transition phase. But once you get through, for me, like that first or second day, I'm good. And actually, when I broke my fast, I felt the effects then, the benefits, because I was like, oh, wow, like, I can actually tell I got a lot more energy now. Mm-hmm. And then even coming into this week, more clarity. I'm sleeping more soundly, even the intuitive sense, the psychic sense, like I'm picking up on stuff. I know how to put the blockers on if somebody wants some weird energy. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, I had to tell y'all a story later on, but I'm gonna let that ride for right now. But yeah.
Okay. And so the vibe that you're getting from it said you're gonna do it from now straight until April?
Yeah, till spring. I'm gonna do my best to. Like I said, and at least not 3 days every week, at least one day a week where I'm just eating fruit or it's just water. Because like I said, I'm seeing people now, man, like they heavy congested. I'm like, bro, it's still technically the summer and y'all got all this congestion.
Yeah.
Y'all in the car coughing, like, I'm just like, bro, like, nah, bro.
All that built up mucus.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm cool on that, so.
But you eat pretty healthy outside of the fruit anyway, so do you think it's going to be a major difference? Like I know you said you feel the difference, you know what I mean, but what are you eating? So as for me, for example, like if I detox and then like I try to eat as healthy as possible, but if I eat out somewhere and somebody happens to put some like milk or dairy in there, I know automatically. It's not no hour later. Like as soon as my nose is running, I'll be like, oh, they done. That's it. Like I know right then and there. Like, oh, they over here playing.
Yeah.
But
Nah, that's real because I feel it where I get congestion immediately with certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, right, I eat pretty healthy, but I still had to like, I got off track earlier this year because I was eating a lot of French fries. I was still eating certain like junk food,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like getting snacks and stuff like that. So I started cutting the snacks out, and then I got to a point the only snack I was really eating was popcorn,
Okay.
and like popcorn that just got sea salt on it, and like good oils like uh, olive oil or grapeseed oil, stuff like that. I try to stay away from like all the corn oils because it's a lot of GMO.
Mm-hmm.
But once I cut out that, then I'm like, okay, like I and even to the because I don't know how familiar you are with like mono diets, like you eating the same thing every
Mm-hmm.
day. Even that can be beneficial because you think about how much time you take to. It's like putting on clothes. You may take like 2 hours trying to figure out what you want to wear for the day, but you didn't use up so much energy for that. In the same way with food, it's been times I'd have been out somewhere and I take an hour or two trying to figure out what I want to eat, and I'm like, I'm wasting time.
Yeah.
So it's like even efficiency wise, it's like nah, let me cut it down to the basic essentials. Like I know I need some type of fruit every day because that helps with regulating my bowel movements and then making sure that I'm eating real healthy greens. And a protein staple for me is quinoa because it's easy to cook and it's like rice almost. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you cook it. But yeah, so
Speaking of eating healthy, I heard that you're a plant-based chef. Is that true?
that is true. It's very true.
Okay, so how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that really since about 2021, off and on. That journey, I love cooking food, but I also realize it do take up, it takes a foundation of resources for that, to be able to consistently do like events and stuff like that. Now, of course, you can always do menus and meal preps, which is cool too, because you can help people depending on where they at in their health or eating journey. But I found it to be very rewarding. It's also another way I connect to my mother because she the one that taught me how to cook. I've been cooking since I was like, I want to say 11 or 12. She taught me how to cook real early. And at the time, I didn't appreciate it because I used to just like to go outside or play the game. But she would make me and my sister periodically like, nah, you're cooking for the family tonight. So, appreciate you, Mom.
Okay. So what would you say got you into going plant-based instead of like just vegetarian or pescatarian?
It was a stage. It was like stages of development for me, right? So when I was in college, I've always liked Outkast,
Okay.
but when I got into college, I really went into their discography, and like they became like one of my favorites. They always in my top 5 now, right? But I was studying, actually Andre 3000 because he was vegetarian and vegan at one point in time, and then even Erykah Badu. So when I was looking at them, I was like, oh, okay, they've been doing this. And then it just so happened that I met a girl that I was talking to at the time, or rather I liked her and we was cool. I had class with her when I was in college, and she was already vegetarian, right? And that same summer, I had already cut out red meat, and I was only eating chicken and fish. And when I met her, she just kind of encouraged. She was like, "You should just try, vegetarian." And I was like, because I was already thinking about it. And I was like, okay. And I tried it, and I was like, "Yo, this is love." Like, I had so much energy from just cutting out meat, and of course at the time I was still eating cheese, but I felt great, and I loved how I felt. So it's naturally just been like an advancement of feeling good. So I got to a certain point where cheese wasn't resonating with me no longer, and neither was like chicken or fish. Now, granted, I had a transition period where I still was eating occasionally, especially because I'm from the country. My granny, if I go home, she cook fried chicken. When I was going through that period, I still ate fried chicken because, that's where I come from. And also, too, it was like love with her because I even remember one time, like, she didn't expect me to eat because she knew I was like moving that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nah, I eat a wing today. And like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was like a little, it was love there. So yeah, that it just naturally again that feeling of like, yo, I feel good. I like how I feel. I'm not heavy. Cause I did notice too when I was still going back and forth. When I ate meat, I always felt more aggressive, and it was quicker for me to get angry. As opposed when I was just eating veggies and fruits, I was more peaceful. You know what I'm saying? And being able to have that level of awareness, like, yo, I'm acting different based off of what I'm eating. So, and it goes back to how these animals are going through stress and traumas, and it's getting trapped inside.
Blood.
You know what I'm saying? So we're eating that. It's not to say you're bash people that eat meat, but I'll just say to be conscious of what you're eating and where you're getting it from. Do your research.
Yeah, because that's the difference with like kosher and halal and all that, is that they actually drain the blood. So not only they pray over it, but they drain it, and the animal is in a state of peace when it happens. So a lot of the meats that are coming in, especially like to America, they're in a slaughterhouse or they're lined up, so they can see the cow or the pork pig or whatever ahead of them getting slaughtered. So that fear, that stress, anxiety, all that is captured into the meat. And so I said, like as far as like kosher, halal, you hear things like that. That's that main difference, is that they actually drain that, and then it's not did in a way where the animal is, I guess, say fear based.
Right. And even coming from the Vedic perspective, they preach that there's so much karma in the meat from that, because they went through so much stress. So you literally taking on karma when you eat meat, and you have to be aware of that. So.
How long did it take? Because I know for me, one thing that, because people are like, isn't that hard for you? But once you do it for a while, like certain things just smell crazy.
Yeah, that's real.
That's true.
I was going to ask you, how long have you been plant-based?
I can't even necessarily say plant-based, because like I said, now I'm just trying to eat as healthy as possible, because there's those time frames, like when I'm out with my family, and then like say, oh, let's give me pasta. You know what I'm saying? And the pot, it might be Alfredo or something like that. And then I'll eat it, but then I'll turn around and like detox because of that. You know what I mean? So I don't even want to say vegan, vegetarian. I just try to say I eat as healthy as possible. I do a lot of detoxes. I don't eat meat, that's for sure, unless, like I said, I go out somewhere and then they mix it in or something like that. But I'll feel sick immediately if that was to happen. But as far as the transition, it's been like 15 years, I want to say.
Okay.
Like somewhere right around there.
Nah, that's real.
Good
That's
Lord.
Yeah.
I've been on it since about 2016. 2017.
Yeah, and it's the same thing as you. Like, it was a transition.
Yeah.
So like I started studying like Islam.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, was like, oh, I'm not messing with the pig.
Yeah.
And then you start learning about all the parasites and all the stuff with that.
Exactly.
And then it went from, okay, I'm not gonna fool with the beef either.
Right.
So I cut that out. And the same as you, I was like on the chicken and fish. And I like, especially like they were saying, like the crab and the lobster and gumbo and all that. Like, to give that up was a killer. But then,
like they say like shrimp and all that are like roaches of the sea.
Yeah, they say that, but like people say with the meat, throw a little butter or some seasoning.
But that's my thing too, because a lot of people, like, they'll try to crucify you because I'm like, I'm not like that. I'm just more so, like you saying, be healthy. Like, do you clean your colon out? You know what I'm saying? Do you detox at all? Because if you eat meat, like, let's be real, you putting yourself in a potential outcome of where you may have congestion or mucus buildup. So cleaning it out, and doing that properly. You don't have to. I'm not saying you gotta, be like me or you or anything like that, but just to be more conscious of what you eat.
Be in tune with yourself.
Yeah, because that's why I say too, but going back to your question, that's also what led, because I saw how intuitive I got. I saw how that grew. I was able to trust myself more. I had less anxiety. So I'm like, this naturally felt right. And even though too, because I think I The last time I actually ate any type of meat, fish, anything was like 3 or 4 years ago. And it was because I was on set and I literally hadn't ate anything all day. And we were shooting at Red Lobster. And that's actually my first and currently last time I ate lobster. I had never ate lobster before, but I'm like, they was like, y'all can eat this if you want because we've been sitting here shooting all day.
Yeah.
And we hadn't moved. And I'm like, bro, I'm hungry, bro. So that was the last time I actually ate any like fish, anything. But even in that sense, like you said, it's easier for me to like eat that and then like clean out because I'm aware. And even then, because it was one instance, it wasn't like I started back eating it every day or every week. It was like, nah, that one time, clean out and then keep it pushing. You know, I even credit being in Georgia because it's more options down here. You know, where I'm from, VA is kind of spread out into different peninsulas and bodies of water. So it's and me being from the country, if I wanted anything other than me cooking, I would have to travel a great distance just to get somewhere. So, but yeah, health is wealth, man.
Yeah. Especially, like I said, they try to say, like, you know, diabetes and cancer and all that stuff is like hereditary, but it's the diet that's hereditary, which causes that's passed on. So,
and even too, like what you eat is a part of your environment. So if you live in the same way your grandparents did and your parents did, the same type of stress too, of course you may get sick if they did because you're in the same environment. If you pull yourself out of that and you're like, nah, I'm eating different, I don't have the same stresses around me, I'm going to, you know.
But I will say though, like for the older generation, one thing, because a lot of them lived for a long time, you know what I'm saying? Although they ate the pork and they did all the everything else, but they also ate a lot of like fresh vegetables. You know, like our generation, I don't know nobody with a garden, to be honest with you, like right now. But both of my grandparents had gardens. You know, you go to aunties and them's houses, they had gardens. So it's like, you know, they kind of mixed the two, the yin and the yang. It's kind of like balanced. They ate a lot of fresh fruits and they would go out, you know, a lot of times even with the animals, like they had the chickens in the backyard and make it happen that way. So
that's real, because the same instance with like, you know, I learned a lot from my granny and my grandpa. You know, they out in the country, but the way they live, it creates a healthiness. You know, my granny will go sit out in the sun. She'll go sit by the clothesline. You know, where you hang the clothes up, she got one of them. She'll go sit out there, let her clothes dry. So even that, because she's getting sun, she getting vitamin D. You know, even now too, they probably don't eat as much as me anyway. So it's like, again, what you talking about, that balance. Like, if you're gonna do that, cool, but you need to get you some sunlight. You need to be a little bit more aware of what you're eating. And then even then too, when I come home, my granny be ready to try my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I cook stuff for her and she'll eat it up and she like, this is good, you know. So
man, if it's bad, they have something, go get that castor oil. Or they, you know what I'm saying, they already know the remedy for whatever you bring in.
So, you know, so again, like you saying, that balance is important, because I think that's what's missing a lot, you know. Instead of crucifying people for what they eat, just talk more about balance and you know, being more conscious of it.
You know, with the being a renaissance, you being a chef, you know, Renaissance for the soul, there's more to you than that. We hit about 20 minutes on your health, but you know, there's much more to you than just that, you know. You mentioned Virginia, and then when you came here, what was your main purpose of coming or leaving Virginia to come here?
Honestly, it was I was looking for more opportunity to find myself. So I found that, because I used to live in Kansas too, I found that when you travel, you like literally putting yourself in a new body of water. So you're going to adapt and grow in different ways. And I'm very adamant about that, because like I said, even meeting y'all, it's like I may have been around people my whole life that didn't see the light that you all may see. And it's not a discredit to them, but if they used to me, you know what I'm saying? And then I get around other people and they like, yo, like, I see this in you. And I'm like, I never heard that before. So for me, it was about that, because even experiencing some of that in Kansas where I'm more isolated, I got to meet new people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not around my familiar surroundings, so I'm going to adapt and seeing how I grow and change, you know. But again, too, I love Virginia, but I wanted to change the pace. I felt like I was just going by and doing the same thing. I was like, nah, let me switch it up. I know Georgia has more opportunities for the things I want to do and create.
Yeah, and sometimes too it would just be, it might not necessarily people don't see the light. It also might be, they used to you as being Trav that play hoop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you be like, oh, I'm about to go model, they be like, model?
Yeah,
You ain't
yeah.
got time for that.
Yeah, nah,
Who-
that's real.
Oh, you pretty now, huh? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that type of get down.
That's
So
real.
when you step out and go somewhere else, a lot of times you can be whoever you want to be because you're
Exactly.
introducing yourself as that.
Right. That's real.
Speaking of modeling, I was able to catch your fashion show the other day. So what led you to pursue that field in particular, aside from your plant-based diet? How did modeling come into play?
I actually got to shout out my OG Tony Jackson, because when we were in college, I don't even know if he knew what he was doing at the time, but it was my sophomore year. I actually, at this point, lost my scholarship. It was nothing I could do about it. I had kept my grades straight. They took it off of technicality, and when I came back to school, I technically couldn't stay on campus, so I stayed with my OGs until I got situated. But during that time, he had already started his clothing line my freshman year. And it just, I don't know if he knew what he was doing, but I was already staying there. And he like, man, I'm about to do a photo shoot. You want to whoop de whoop? And he just kind of put me on. And we started doing shoots. And we had like a whole little buzz on campus too. So it was really with that I found like, oh, I could do this. And it wasn't like I think I even told you, I never like grew up watching like supermodels and stuff like that, like walking out, them. The closest thing I probably seen was like my sister watching like America's Next Top Model. You know what I'm saying? And I'm walking by. I'm not like watching it with her. I'm just like, she got the TV for the night, so she's watching that. So really again, yeah, he just kind of put me on. And then ever since then, I was just like, oh, I can do this. I found a confidence in it. And I also found that I feel like modeling is a great way to build your self-esteem, because you, especially that one-on-one with the photographer, you get a great photographer that you can work with, and they find your angles and the stuff that works. You can't beat that. So again, shout out to Tony. Also shout out to my boy Jacob. He just did my recent photo shoot. And what I'm talking about of finding the angles and finding somebody that want to work with you and be creative, he a perfect example of that. So shout out to Jacob too.
Okay. So what has been your most rewarding aspect of your work in the modeling?
I think, honestly, I think it goes to like, it's crazy because, we started this Renaissance for the Soul. And really around the same time, I started thinking of myself as a Renaissance man, because I'm like, yo, we living in a time where it's a lot of stuff going on, but at the same time, it's so much creativity to tap into. So I'm like, if we look back at the previous past times, it was always people that had a unique skill set and they utilized it to uplift people. So for me, it's a part of that, because like even certain people, I don't even know if they know, but they'll be messengers sometime for me. Like they'll hit me up, either people I know from the past or who I'm cool with. They'll just say something. Like matter of fact, my cousin hit me up yesterday and we just had a brief conversation. But at the end, I was mentioning something and she was talking about that someone knew that I was a great man. And it just resonated, because I was just like, how did she know? Like, why did she even say that? And it's not that I don't think of myself like that, but for me, that's what I do it for. Because I can tell then, like, yo, I'm shining my light, and all I want to do is be able to help somebody to like be like, nah, you can create too, and you can inspire and uplift people as well. So
Okay. Okay. So, can you discuss a particularly memorable or challenging experience you had on a shoot or a fashion show?
said a particularly challenging situation. Man, we could actually talk about the last one because the venue we were at, this was literally this weekend. It didn't have any AC, and all the models were in there sweating, and it was anxiety building up because, of course, people were complaining. I'm more of a like person. If I know I can't change something, I'm not trying to complain because like I feel like I'm wasting my energy. So I'm also being mindful too. I understand where they coming from, but at the same time, I don't want to feed into that because it's like, yo, like if I do that, I'm gonna be even more drained. But I was, a little on edge. They had a big fan blowing, and it was crazy because I had put my chair right beside the fan, right, because I wanted to stay in the cool. Um, and I got up, and this queen sat down in the chair. But in my moment of haste and a little bit of anger, I was being very impolite with her, and like I tapped her on the shoulder, like, "Yo, like you gotta raise up." And I had this other queen check me when I came back because I did it the first time, and then I walked away because somebody called me. It was another designer. When I came back, she was still sitting there, and she was like, "Yo, that was very disrespectful." Because first of all, she's a woman, and I was like, you know what? And I took that moment because I'm always big on like, yo, check me if I'm out of place or out of pocket because I'll check myself then too. So I was like, you know what? I apologize. That wasn't my intention. But I was like, people already been stealing people's chairs in here, so I felt a little away. But I was like, I apologize. I gave her the chair. I moved it away. I was like, I'll go get another one, right? But that was, it's just another lesson of like, even when you upset or it's like anxiety or stuff on edge, you want to keep your composure because when you never know who you're talking to, and you never know how, even if you apologize, if somebody gonna accept it or how they gonna receive it. Now the queen, she won't tripping. Once I apologized, her and her friend, they didn't bother me no more, and she was like, it's fine. And then I apologized again to her later on, and she said, it's fine, it's cool. And I could tell like she won't really tripping. But it still was a great lesson because it's like, it's no guarantee of that. They could have like popped off and blew way up, and then I would have been looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? And even in the sense too of like, I understand like that was my chair, I had my stuff there. I still could handle that in a better way. So just again being mindful of like, if it is a high stress situation, you want to keep your composure and continue to focus on the things you can control, and even adjusting in the moment because it's like I could have been an asshole and been like, man, fuck that. I'm not going to apologize. None of that.
I call C back.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I could have been on, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to apologize because I don't want to come off like that. But I also want to, make sure that I got a position around this fan because I'm already hot in here and I want to be cool too. So.
Have you been in a predicament yet where they got you trying to do something that you like, I don't do that. I'm against that.
Oh, you talking about with the photo shoots? Or
modeling, photo shoots, any of that, yeah.
I mean, sometimes I haven't had nothing too crazy, but it's more so and I'm gonna say this story for the next part, but it's more the people sometimes, like because I noticed, of course, in certain industries, you're gonna have different peoples that identify with different pronouns or you know what I'm saying. So hey, shout out to Real Wear Clothing Line. It's my boy line, man. You can find him on Instagram, DeAndre Davis. I'm actually pull it up right now. Real Wear Clothing by DeAndre Davis. Website www.
It's real or will?
Will, like will. Um,
WHEEL.
yep.
Okay.
WHEELRARE.com. Real Wear. Tap in with them. Also, go get that 34 Nights. Available on Amazon. You can also purchase from me as well in person. I do autograph copies as well. But definitely tap in with me. Poetry book, dedicated to my mom. Y'all tap in. So, you were asking me something.
I wanted to wrap back into, you said that you were filming at Red Lobster, so you an actor?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got plant-based chef, model, now we got actor. Okay, so how do you prepare for roles or any type of gigs that you have? And do you have any strategies for getting into character?
I've done a lot of background work, so it's it's been cool to see like all the working pieces. But as far as like actually preparing for a role, I have had a couple smaller speaking roles, and what I always try to do is uh, get a feel for the whole script, if it is one, and see how that character, what's their, what role are they playing within the grand scheme or the grand picture of the overall movie or film or skit, whatnot. Um, so for me, again, taking a page of like the method, if need be, really getting into character. I draw inspiration from people like Heath Ledger, Denzel Washington, Jamie Foxx,
Lawrence Tate.
Lawrence Tate, especially with like even the stuff that I do with poetry. Lawrence Tate, Love Jones, you know, also Chadwick Boseman as well. Rest in peace. Um, so drawing inspiration from those type of characters, how they were able to get into them roles. Even Michael B. Jordan, I think he talked about how like the he had to actually get therapy after he did the Killmonger role. Um, and for me, it's like that's the type of dedication and approach you want to have. Like I want to get so in character that I may have to take space afterwards to get back to me. Because to me, acting really is like Tupac talked about it. He was like being able to go into neutral, and you essentially channeling the spirit. At the end of the day, they may not tell you that, but that's what they're doing. They moving out of who they are and letting something else direct them, or pulling from something. You know what I'm saying, and embodying that the best way they can. So
Okay, so do you see yourself getting into any roles in the future, like in the next year or two?
right now, I want to do more like creative stuff, independent stuff, because even how the industry is right now with the strikes, I just think it's an opportune moment for people to just create. So definitely doing more creative stuff like skits, commercials, comedy, my own things, short films, stuff like that. Stuff I have like either a say in or I can like co-produce or direct. Because I feel like you know even having background experience, you can see how it's at times it just made me want to create safe spaces for people. So I'm big on that because you hear about the horror stories sometimes. So I think being a part of things where you can create a safe space and allow people to because that helps facilitate the creativity too.
Back up a little bit, channeling the spirits. So, what are you doing for that? So, you actually channel spirits, or you plan on channeling spirits, or what's your thought process on that?
Well, first off, before the preface everything, I think the connotation needs to be taken off of that because whether people know it or not, you channel spirits every day. based on who you are as a person. Because your spirit soul is eternal. So the spirit you have is really a part of your character. So again, every day that you being yourself, you channeling the spirit because that's who you are. Now, as far as with acting, um, again, I just think about like how Heath Ledger got into that role with the Joker for the Dark Knight, and again, I don't want to make it so because a lot of people get so spooky and mystified, and it's like, oh my God, it's like no, like literally, like you are not this flesh and body, and you have a lot of different aspects of yourself. I've even heard people put it where, um, like even how they got the movies now with the multiverses and stuff like that. It's infinite versions of yourself, and you can pull from them to get what you need, or to, even when you trying to grow, aren't you imagining a version of yourself that yet does not yet exist? Aren't you doing that? So even in that sense, you're channeling the spirit of yourself because you like, yo, I'm like I want to be this. So you have that in mind. So you're channeling that whether you know it or not. But I think again, a lot of actors do that because, and not to put that negative connotation on it, but again, that's the whole preface of playing a role. That's not who you really are. Cause you see it even times like some actors that are heterosexual, they'll play a homosexual role.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who they are, but they go into that role, and you can't tell no difference. So even in that sense, like again, being able to go to neutral, step out of who you are, and step into a different persona or alter ego. You know,
With that thought process, are you willing to play any role, or
me personally, nah, cause like I just like I don't want to be portrayed as I only want to be portrayed as certain things that align with like my principles and ideals. So I'm not just gonna do any role, for the sake of being an artist or a what's the word? Um, what's the word? They use it in theater. Not aristocrat. It's a word. It'll come to me. But essentially, like I respect people that have that artistry. That's cool. But for me personally, I'm cool on that. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of creativity, I also I did my little research and I heard that you're a published author. So you have a book out. What's it called?
It's called 34 Nights. It's actually right there to the left of you. Um, it's it's a collection of poems and poetry that I've written over the years, but especially it was concentrated when I first moved to Georgia back in 2020. I had an Airbnb for 34 nights, and I wrote a good majority of that book during that time. That whole, because that was literally like my first 34 days and nights in Georgia. So it was like a reflection period. Um, I even I knew but I didn't know that I would be moving towards things that I'm doing now. So it was like that was like a preparation period for everything that I'm doing now. But again, dedicated to my mother. It it details a lot of how I processed depression and grief, loss and love, but also joy as well. So I think any melanated young man can relate to it because it has those themes. But anybody in general, if you love poetry, it's there. Um, Again, dedicated to my mother, man. She transitioned when I was in a junior high school, so a lot of the things I do is in honor of her. So yeah.
Okay. So how do you approach the process of creating poetry? Like, do you have any techniques that help you get into that right mindset, or is it something that just comes to you and you just write?
I think it's all of those. Sometimes you're just inspired and you write from a muse. Sometimes the muse can be yourself or a picture, or um, it can just be divine inspiration. I think when you talked about it a couple weeks ago, the when you can be alone to yourself you'll get those ideas. You'll get the whispers from God, you know. So even in that sense, like solitude, you'll get writing material. You can also do it where it's a practicality to it. It was times where I just made myself write every day, and then from that I got a certain cadence or a certain rhythm, and I built from that. Um, Also, too, you can write to music. You know, it's been times where I've listened to certain songs because it's gonna put me in a certain mood, and I write to it. Um, so even with that, that could be a form of channeling as well, because you listening to a song and you getting whatever emotion from it, and then you're putting it on paper from your perspective. So, but yeah, all of those different forms.
Okay, okay. So is there a favorite poem that you have in your book that you wrote?
Hmm. A favorite poem off the top of my head, no. But if I looked in there, I feel like it, it might. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite one. Not at the moment.
Okay.
Um. Yeah, I don't know. If anything, I do. I love Rip, R.I.P. And Eternal Death, because I think those speak to what this book is really about.
Okay.
You,
So, you go ahead.
you know, I'll say as far as the book goes, you plan on doing a second book?
I was just gonna ask.
Um, I actually have. Yeah, for sure. I actually have it in works right now.
Is it gonna be poetry also, or is this actually like a novel type?
Now it would be poetry as well. I could see me doing two more poetry books, and then getting into some other writing, because I had other ideas. I even have other bodies of work that aren't out. I used to write a lot in college, so I just got like an archive of stuff. Um, so, but yeah, definitely another poetry book. It and I'm again working on it now. Actually, my ebook of 34 Nights will be out pretty soon. So if people, they like to consume it digitally, it'll be there as well. But yeah,
Okay, so what advice do you have for an aspiring artist or poet, actress, model? But like, what advice would you give them if they wanted to be not in your shoes, but like work or do the same things you're doing?
I would say I urge them to focus on their work ethic. Um, because the thing with being an artist or any type of creative endeavor, you always going to be at the, I want to say, you can a lot of time look for external validation. And I think if you focus on your work ethic and your consistency, um, and making everything like like enjoying the journey, the process, the beautifulness, I think that can alleviate that need for external validation. Because deep down, like Cole said, is every poet wants to be felt. I take it too as every artist wants to be felt, understood, appreciated. But that's not necessarily guaranteed. So you see it all the time. People don't appreciate bodies of work until somebody is gone, or they don't appreciate their life until they're gone. So I think anybody in these endeavors or fields, you focus on your work ethic, and you becoming the greatest version of yourself, because that's something you can control. Focus on the things you can control rather than the accolades. Because again, all these external things is cool, and not to say I don't want it either, but you gotta have that balance so that you don't be upset or depressed if they don't come. You know, so you make sure again focus on your work ethic and striving for excellence. That's something my mother taught me. And striving for is yielded. Excellence is yielded by you striving for perfection, because you can't reach perfection, but if you strive for it, you're going to get excellence. So that's what I would say.
Okay. So you have your own business, doing the plant-based thing, right? And then you also have your book and your acting and your modeling. So what's next for you? Like you have the world is literally your canvas. So what direction do you think you want to go in?
I think I'm really figuring it out right now. Even from some of the connections I've been graced to have, even meet him and you. I think I'm figuring it out. I literally, a photographer the other week back asked me, what season of life am I in? And I told her I'm in a renaissance because it's like I'm finding light again in my creativity, but I'm also not trying to put it in so many uh, constructs. I don't want to be boxed in, you know. I think I would rather be an enigma, like a spark, a flash, a flame. Like, I do what I need to do, and it doesn't have to be confined to just one, role or whatnot. Um, I think another word for it is a polymath. Going back to the Renaissance man, like being skilled at different things, and then that way nobody can put you in a box. You can just kind of navigate how you need to. Cause some days I may need to be a model. Other days I may need to be on my business shit. Another day I may need to be a writer. Another day I may need to be a chef. So it's like depending on the day and how even society changes over time. You know, I think about too how like AI is playing a part of like how some of these jobs and career paths may change over time. So even with that, like, what are things that people are always going to need? People always going to need to be able to eat. And I don't know no robots that's gonna cook better than me. You know what I'm saying? So
You know what's dope about the Renaissance part? Because like with the name itself, Renaissance for the Soul, it's not like we were just like, yeah, what name?
yeah,
Renaissance for the Soul. We actually like sat down with a good about 25 names,
yeah,
but then matched it up with like
the energy and the
colors,
code,
gematria,
yeah, cardiology,
cardiology.
and even speaking to that too. That's the thing too, because I do readings as well, but a lot of people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So even in that sense, it's like
Reiki.
yeah, Reiki as well.
Yeah.
Doing I didn't done Reiki set. So even stuff like that, like I even going back to your previous question, everybody doesn't have to know everything you do. Sometimes you can just have skills that are just ready
For
made.
yourself.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't get me wrong, you on point with them, but everybody don't have to know that because some people, because even with the readings, I don't get everybody readings because that's an energy exchange, and I'm like, bro, I don't want to fool everybody energy. Some of y'all got some funky ass energy, and I'm cool. Like I don't need all of that.
Yeah.
Like, so I'd rather keep it with people I know and I politic with and we build on stuff. Cause then I know you appreciate my time.
Right.
And then even too, like you'll understand stuff. Cause some people it'd be like talking to a brick wall anyway. You'll tell them, they like, huh? What? So nah. Like, so like I said, you don't have to, everybody don't have to know everything. I say that's another part of um my character too. Like, know how to be low key and know how to move. Like a lot of people like to talk. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, bro. Be about your actions, cause your actions are always gonna speak louder than your words.
You read a lot?
I I read more when I was younger, but I do read.
Do you read specific things or do you read a bunch of different?
I'm more of like when I kind of like do like I read for a good season and then I'll take a break and then I'll do it again. But when I'm reading, I'm reading 5 to 7 books at a time.
Yeah.
Because it'd be crazy too. You could probably speak to it. You'll be reading one book and you think it had nothing to do with this one, but they'll just overlap when they have synchronicities.
Yeah.
And you like, yo, it's crazy because I'm reading this book, but this is low key saying the same ish in another way.
It help you understand it.
Exactly.
On top of the fact that I do that because I I don't want to give somebody the total credit for my understanding. So if I'm reading one thing, then I'm kind of taking on this person's ideology. But if I'm reading a bunch of things, then it's kind of like me interpreting what I'm getting, but I'm also reading. It's almost like eating food. Like I don't just eat strawberries. Like I want a little bit of everything, and then be able to make my own mix. And they can say like, oh yeah, Lee makes a nice smoothie. You know what I mean? I rather do it that way. The main reason why I ask you that too, though, because in my thought process with the whole pulling spirit, I don't know, that thing's still sticking with me. When I was younger and I would read, I read specific things, but whatever I was reading for the time, that energy pull in my life was affected by that.
Mm-hmm. That's real though.
Because I was telling somebody today, like I used to really read Donald Goines. Like I probably read his whole, no bullshit. I probably read his whole Get Down in about like a 2 to 3 week time frame. But reading that like affected my life, like had me doing things that I'd be like, damn, how'd I get here? But then it was like the book kind of told me this was gonna happen.
It's law of attraction too, because I've seen that with it's a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. When I started reading that, every time I read that, even if I listen to an audiobook, I be getting more bread.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so again, even the law of attraction, it works with that because, like, to your point, you know, having those different philosophies and then you can bounce it off. It's like, you think about your brain, like your brain part like firing, like, oh, snap, like this is.
It's pulling it.
Yeah, so even in that sense, like you're literally changing your reality because you're, you know, they talk about books are like worlds in themselves.
Yeah.
You open up a book, you opening up a portal. You know, you can learn anything, you can apply yourself.
And you program your brain to be able to do whatever that thing is.
And you know, I will say it is times where I do just read one book because it may be a little bit more dense or I want to really study that. But for the most part, it's 5 to 7 and keeping that thing like flowing, like so.
And not to knock females, but if you ever fool with a female that reads like them fantasy novels, them romance, like they be on a whole nother. Anyone that you say that constantly reads like a fantasy romance novel, they be on a whole different page.
Because the imagination is so important. Like that's why even I'm getting to the point now where like I love reading like philosophy and spiritual stuff, but I do want to tap back into like comics or fantasy because it helps with your imagination, you know. I even want to eventually write some comic books because
you gotta have that balance.
You know what I'm saying? Because you need that. But yeah.
So how do you stay motivated and maintain a strong mindset in the face of obstacles?
For me, man, just go back to my mom, man. My mom was a G. She was a warrior, man. Like I seen that up close too, because my mom, she had cancer for 5 years, right? So I would literally see her like be on the brink of death, and then she'd just bring herself back. You know what I'm saying? So seeing that had a profound impact, even though it was traumatic too, because of course she transitioned. But seeing that for those 5 years, like I always tell people, like that was like a mastery course on life because I saw even though her body was failing her, her spirit was still strong, and she won't blaming nobody either. She wasn't like, oh, woe is me. It was none of that. Her, if anything, her faith in God got even stronger. So seeing that at an early age, it built like a cornerstone of strength or a pillar of strength for me. And then even going through my own life, like it's been times where I've been homeless, you know, I've been depressed. I lived in my car for 5 months when I first got to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So going through stuff like that, heartbreaks too, all these things, you know, it prepare you for whatever you role you stepping into. And I think again, for people to keep that in mind because a lot of times you will get upset or be frustrated trying to figure out why things are happening to you. But you can look at it as for your best good, and it's to help you grow, and also that you may not know how strong you are until you get hit with certain things. You know what I'm saying? So even in that sense, that propels me. That work ethic, also to the just knowing that, like, when I leave this realm, I want to be able to, like, people smile and, like, be like, yo, like, I fuck with him, or like, I love him.
Travis is a G.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? That respect, that love, that's important for me too. Cause like I said, I ain't perfect, but I would say that the people that I met and really connected with, I could say, like, I had an impact on their life, and hopefully it's for the better.
Okay. Okay. That's
Well,
good.
before we cut out, we do. I do appreciate the fact that you took the time out to interview, so that people can get an idea of why we connected to make Renaissance for the Soul. It wasn't just hey, let's do this. It kind of was like a build, and it became that. You know what I mean? And so it's just dope to get the perspective so that people can see, a little bit about our team and what we got going on and why we doing what we do. What is will be some last words or I'll say this. I know a lot of times you end with like, I'm gonna say a word, you give me the thing. So what would, if today was our last day recording, what was something that you want to leave to the people to remember you by?
I would say that don't ever give up on yourself, because there were times where I was really depressed and suicidal, and if I had left, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So I would say, don't give up. Focus on what you can control and eliminate distractions and people that waste your energy and time. Um, be around people that make you feel good and love you. Because even if, I'm not saying you may always be on the same page, but be around those people that are patient and give you grace, because those are the ones worth fighting for. People that got so many demands or always projecting onto you, get away from those people. People that don't support you or don't show up for you when you're doing dope stuff, get away from them too. And surround yourself with greatness or with loving people. And again, don't give up on yourself, because a lot of times you may not know the plan, but God always got a plan for you. And a lot of times it's bigger than what you may even can fathom, you know. And darkness isn't something to be afraid of. I found my greatest light in darkness. So again, you can't be the sun without the moon. You can't be the day without the night. You got to have balance. So if you're going through extreme darkness, that means you have the potential to shine great light. So keep that in mind.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you 3 words. First thing that comes to your head. You ready? All right. Wealth.
Health.
Spiritual.
God is love.
Okay. And Travis.
Voria son.
Mm.
My mother's name was Voria, but we called her Voria. Voria son.
Okay.
It's play on too, because I'm her son, but I'm also a light. So
I like that. Well, I'm Monique. Thank you for being you. Thank you for opening your mind and showing us inside of it. I appreciate it. I learned a lot today.
I appreciate y'all giving me an opportunity to share some of my story.
All right, just want to tell all y'all, love y'all. Continue tuning in, and we'll continue to bring in this renaissance for not just our soul, but for your soul. Peace.